Medieval pilgrimages. Sleep stories for deep rest. 6 sacred journeys across medieval Europe. If you're here to fall asleep, you're in the right place. For the next 2 hours, I'm going to walk with you on 6 medieval pilgrimage routes across Europe. To sacred places. Holy places. Places where millions walked for centuries. Seeking grace. Healing. Redemption. Peace. These are slow journeys. Patient journeys. One foot in front of the other. 4 days. 4 weeks. 4 months. Walking toward hope. Get comfortable. Lower your volume. You don't need to stay awake for any of this. Just walk. Slowly. Peacefully. Until sleep finds you. Let's begin with your breath. Close your eyes. Let your body settle into stillness. You are not walking now. You are lying down. Safe. Comfortable. Supported. Breathe with me. In through your nose. Slowly. Like taking the first step on a long journey. Hold for just a moment. And out through your mouth. Like setting down a heavy burden. Again. In. 1 step forward. Hold. Pausing on the path. And out. Continuing onward. Peaceful. Unhurried. 1 more time. In. Breathing in the morning air. Hold. Feeling the earth beneath you. And out. Walking into rest. Good. Let your breathing return to its natural rhythm now. Like footsteps. Regular. Steady. 1 breath. 1 step. 1 moment at a time. Tonight we walk 6 pilgrimages. 6 sacred routes across medieval Europe. From England to Spain. From Germany to the Holy Land. Each one a path millions took. Each one still walked today. Each one a journey toward something greater than ourselves. You don't need to complete the journey. Just walk until sleep comes. Until rest finds you. Until you arrive where you need to be. Our first pilgrimage begins in England. In Canterbury. Where Thomas Becket was murdered. Where pilgrims came seeking healing. Seeking forgiveness. Seeking God. Let's walk together. Slowly. 1 step at a time. Story 1, The Pilgrim's Way to Canterbury. You are in Winchester, southern England. The old Saxon capital. Dawn is breaking. Cathedral bells ring. Calling the faithful. Marking the hour. You stand before Winchester Cathedral. Massive. Norman stone. The longest cathedral in Europe. But you are not staying. You are beginning a journey. A pilgrimage. To Canterbury. 70 miles east. To the shrine of Thomas Becket. The Archbishop murdered by the King's Knights in 1170. Made a martyr. Made a saint. Made a worker of miracles. You join other pilgrims gathering in the pre-dawn light. a dozen travelers, maybe more, from Winchester, from farther still, all walking the same path, the same purpose, seeking the saint's intercession, his blessing, his healing power. You begin walking east through the quiet city, your footsteps on cobblestones the only sound, except the other pilgrims, walking, breathing, praying quietly. You leave the city walls, enter the English countryside, rolling green hills, fields, forests, villages, connected by ancient paths, Roman roads, Saxon tracks, now pilgrims' ways. The path is well worn. Thousands have walked this route for a century. Since Becket's murder. Since the miracles began. Since Canterbury became holy ground. You walk steadily. Not fast. Not slow. Pilgrim pace. Sustainable for miles. 4 days. For the whole journey. Your staff in hand. Ash wood. Smooth from use. From countless hands gripping. Supporting. Step after step. You wear pilgrim clothes. Simple wool. A long tunic. A cloak for rain. A wide-brimmed hat for sun. And attached to your cloak, a scallop shell. The pilgrim's badge. Showing your purpose. Your status. Protected by church law. By custom. Pilgrims are sacred travelers. Not to be robbed or harmed. The sun rises behind you, warming your back, lighting the path ahead. The morning is beautiful, clear, mild, spring or early summer. The best time for pilgrimage. Before summer heat. After winter rain. Birds sing everywhere. English birds. Robins. Thrushes. Larks rising from fields. From hedges. Celebrating morning. Life. The gift of another day. You pass through villages. Small places. A dozen houses. A church. Always a church. The church is the center of every village. Every life. You stop at some for water. For bread. For brief rest. The villagers expect pilgrims. Welcome them. Give charity for the soul's sake. For blessing. In return you pray for them. At Canterbury you will light a candle. Say their names. Ask the saint to remember them. To help them. This exchange of charity and prayer binds the living and the dead. The rich and poor. All in one Christian community. You walk with others. Sometimes talking. Sharing stories of why they walk. A woman. Her child was ill. Near death. She prayed to Becket. Made a vow. If the child lived she would walk to Canterbury. The child lived. She walks. A merchant. Prosperous. Successful. but guilty of sins, of usury, of sharp practice. He walks to ease his conscience, to buy with effort what money cannot buy: forgiveness, peace, a night, old, scarred from wars, from violence, seeking in his last years what he ignored in his youth: salvation, grace, a good death, a place in heaven. And you, why do you walk? What drives you here, to this path, in the company of strangers, all seeking the same thing, something beyond themselves? The days pass in walking, each day 15 miles, 20, depending on the path, the weather, the companions. Each night at inns, at monasteries, at hospices built for pilgrims. Simple beds, simple food, but welcome, always welcome. The landscape changes slowly. The North Downs, chalk hills covered in beech forest. The path climbs, descends, through valleys, over ridges. Ancient land, walked for thousands of years. Pilgrims are just the latest in a long line. You reach the top of a ridge. Look ahead, and see in the distance the towers of Canterbury Cathedral rising above the town. The trees, the fields, your destination, visible at last. The other pilgrims see it too. They stop, point. Some fall to their knees in thanksgiving, in relief. The journey nearly done, the shrine almost reached. You descend the ridge, cross the River Stour, enter the city of Canterbury. Ancient, Roman once, now medieval, crowded, busy, full of pilgrims, priests, monks, merchants, all feeding on the trade, the economy of holiness. You walk through streets to the cathedral. It rises massive, Gothic now, rebuilt after fire, taller, grander than Winchester, more beautiful, the French style, pointed arches, flying buttresses, reaching toward heaven. You enter through the west door, into the nave. The space opens up, high, so high. The vaulted ceiling disappears into shadow, into light from stained glass. Colors: blue, red, gold, falling on stone, on pilgrims, on prayer. You walk the length of the nave past other pilgrims, priests, monks, toward the crossing where Becket was murdered. On these stones, in this space, 4 knights struck him down, split his skull, spilled his brains on the floor of his own cathedral. A plaque marks the spot. You kneel, touch it, pray for the soul of the martyr, the saint, the man who stood against a king, who died for principle, for the church, for God. Then you descend stone steps down into the crypt. Dark, cold, ancient Norman stone. This part survived the fire. Here is the shrine of St. Thomas Becket. It glows in the darkness. Gold, silver, jewels, gifts from kings, from paupers, all giving what they can to honor the saint, to ask his help, his blessing, his intercession with God. You approach on your knees, the last few feet on hard cold stone. This is proper, humble, the way saints should be approached. You pray, whatever you came for, whatever need brought you here. You offer it now to the saint, to God through the saint. You light a candle, leave an offering, a coin, a token, a prayer written on paper, and then you wait in silence, in the crypt, in the company of other pilgrims, all waiting for something, a sign, a feeling, a sense of peace, of completion, of being heard. The shrine does not speak, does not move, does not give obvious answers, but still you feel something, a presence, a weight, a sense that this place is different, special, holy, not because of the gold or the jewels, but because of the faith, the millions who came, who believed, who prayed. Their belief accumulates, creates holiness from hope. You rise slowly, stiffly. The stones were hard. Your knees ache, but your heart feels lighter. The burden you carried on the path for 70 miles feels less heavy. You ascend back to the light, to the nave, to the world. The pilgrimage is complete. The vow is fulfilled. The saint has been reached. What happens now is uncertain. Will your prayer be answered? Will the sick be healed? Will your sins be forgiven? Will you find what you sought? You don't know. Cannot know. Can only hope and trust that the effort mattered. That the journey itself was the blessing. Let that trust stay with you as you drift into sleep. The long walk. The patient steps. The steady progress towards something beyond yourself. Beyond understanding. Just walking in faith. In hope. In the company of countless others who also sought and walked and hoped. Rest now. The pilgrimage is done. The shrine is reached. The candle is lit. All is complete. All is peaceful. All is exactly as it should be. Story 2, The Camino de Santiago. Spain, 9th to 15th centuries. You are in southern France. Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. A small town at the foot of the Pyrenees. The mountains that divide France from Spain. The barrier between nations. Between worlds. But today you cross them. You are walking the Camino. The way. The way of St. James. El Camino de Santiago. to Santiago de Compostela in Galicia, northwestern Spain. 800 kilometers from here through mountains, plains, cities, villages, all the way to the tomb of the Apostle Saint James, Santiago. It is morning. Early. You gather with others. Dozens of pilgrims in the town square, receiving blessings from priests, checking supplies, final preparations. The first day is the hardest. Over the mountains, into Spain. You begin walking up. Always up. The path climbs steeply out of the town into forest. Pine. Mountain pine. The air grows colder. Thinner. Your breath comes harder. But you continue. One step at a time. Pilgrim pace. Other pilgrims walk with you. Around you. Ahead. Behind. You are not alone on this path. Never alone. The Camino is always full of walkers, seekers, hopeful souls. Some are young, strong, walking fast, almost running, eager to reach the goal. Others are old, slow, struggling but determined, not to stop, not to fail, not to die before reaching Santiago. You are somewhere between, not young, not old, able to walk, to continue, to finish, God willing. If your strength holds, if the weather cooperates, if nothing goes wrong, the path reaches the pass. Roncesvalles. Here Roland died in Charlemagne's rear guard, ambushed by Basques or Moors depending on which story you believe. A hero, a martyr, a saint of sorts. His horn blowing for help that never came. The song of Roland immortalizes him. Every pilgrim knows the tale. You pause at the pass. Look back at France behind you. Look forward at Spain below you. You are between worlds. Between the known and the unknown. Between home and destination. And then you descend into Spain. The path is steep, rocky, dangerous in rain, in ice. But today is clear. You descend carefully, steadily into the Spanish side. The landscape changes. Drier here. Less green. More brown. The soil red. The rock exposed. This is not lush France. This is Spain. Harsh. Beautiful. Ancient. The days pass in walking through Navarre. Through Rioja. Through Castilla y Leon. Each region different. Each with its own character. Its own food. Its own wine. Its own way of welcoming pilgrims. You stay in albergues. Pilgrim hostels. Simple. Communal. Bunk beds in large rooms. Dozens of pilgrims sleeping together. Snoring. Groaning. Rising before dawn to walk again. It is not comfortable, but it is the Camino. Everyone suffers together. Everyone endures together. You walk through Pamplona where bulls run through streets once a year. Dangerous. Deadly. Exciting. But now it is quiet. Just a city. Beautiful. Ancient. You walk through barely pausing. You walk through Legrano, the wine capital. Vineyards everywhere. Grapes growing in the sun, making the wines that Spain is famous for. Pilgrims stop here gladly. Rest and drink and recover strength. You cross the Meseta, the great plain of central Spain. Flat. Endless. Hot in summer. Cold in winter. Windy. Always windy. This is the hardest part. Not because of mountains but because of monotony. Of sameness. Day after day walking the flat plain with nothing to see but sky and earth. But also this is where the Camino becomes meditative. When there is nothing to see, you turn inward. You walk with your thoughts, your prayers, your doubts, your hopes. Mile after mile, step after step, just walking into yourself. And then finally the Meseta ends. Mountains return. You climb into Galicia, the last region. Green again. Wet. Mist. Rain. Celtic. This is not Spanish Spain. This is something older. Something that remembers before Rome. Before Spain. Ancient. Tribal. Mysterious. The path here is old. Pre-Roman. The stones are worn smooth by millions of feet over thousands of years. You are walking in footsteps so deep in time that they become sacred by sheer accumulation of human effort. Human hope. You enter the forest of eucalyptus. Tall trees imported from Australia. Strange to see in Europe. But here they grow, filling the air with their scent. Sharp. Clean. Medicinal. And then finally you see it. The cathedral spires of Santiago rising above the city. The trees. The hills. Your destination. After weeks of walking. After hundreds of kilometers. After blisters and pain and doubt. Finally. Santiago. You walk faster now. The pain forgotten. The fatigue gone. Just excitement. Relief. Gratitude. You enter the old town through medieval streets. Granite buildings. Pilgrims everywhere. All converging on the cathedral. The square. The goal. You reach the Piazza do Obradoiro. The square before the cathedral. It is full of pilgrims. Sitting. Standing. Lying down. Exhausted. Jubilant. Crying. Laughing. All having reached the end. You sit. Just sit. Look at the cathedral. Baroque facade. Ornate. Decorated. Beautiful. Behind it the medieval Romanesque cathedral still standing, still holding the tomb of the Apostle. If it is the Apostle, no one is certain, but everyone believes. You enter eventually, when you can stand, when you are ready. The cathedral is vast, dark, cool after the hot walk, after the bright sun. You walk to the altar, the main altar, massive silver baroque. Behind it a statue of St. James as a pilgrim, staff in hand, scallop shell on his hat. The tradition is to climb the stairs behind the altar to embrace the statue, to whisper your prayer, your thanks, your request into the saint's ear. You climb the narrow stairs worn by millions. You embrace the cold silver statue, and you speak, or think, whatever you came to say, to ask, to offer. This moment is yours, private, between you and the saint and God. Then you descend to the crypt below where the bones of the Apostle are said to rest in a silver casket. You kneel, pray, add your prayer to the millions that have been offered here. And then it is done. The Camino is walked. The pilgrimage is complete. You receive your Compostela, the certificate, proof that you walked the way, at least the last 100 kilometers, the minimum required. But you walked more, much more. From France through Spain, 800 kilometers, 30 days of walking, of seeking, of hoping. And here you are, at the end, at the goal, complete. Some walk farther to Finisterre, the end of the earth, the westernmost point of Europe, where land meets ocean, where the sun sets into water, where medieval people thought the world ended. But you stay here in Santiago. Rest. Recover. Attend the pilgrim mass where your name and country and starting point are read aloud, acknowledging your journey, your effort, your completion. Let that completion stay with you as you drift into sleep. The long walk, the patient steps, the arrival finally at the place you sought, the peace that comes from finishing, from persevering, from reaching the goal. Rest now in Santiago, in the cathedral, in the presence of the saint, the Apostle who calls pilgrims from across the world to walk his way, to seek his blessing, to find on the path what they could not find at home. Story 3, Via Francigena to Rome. Canterbury to Rome, Italy. You are in Canterbury again. But this time you do not stay. Canterbury is just the beginning. You are walking the Via Francigena, the way from France to Rome. Nearly 2,000 kilometers through 3 countries, over the Alps, to the Eternal City. This is a longer journey, months not weeks, through summer into autumn, perhaps into winter if you are slow, if weather delays you, if anything goes wrong. You cross the English Channel by boat from Dover to Calais. The sea is grey, Rough. You are seasick. Everyone is seasick. But you arrive in France. Wet. Miserable. But alive. And the walking begins again. Through northern France. Picardy. Champagne. Green. Rolling. Prosperous. Rich with vineyards. With trade. With cities. Reims where kings are crowned. You stop at the cathedral. Massive Gothic. Beautiful. And pray for safe passage. The path leads south. Always south through Burgundy. Through wine country. Through autumn harvests. The grapes being picked. The wine being made. You stop at abbeys. At monasteries. Cluny where the greatest abbey in Christendom stands. Magnificent. You reach Switzerland. The mountains begin. The Alps rising before you. Impossible. Snow-capped even in summer. How can you cross these? But you must. The great St. Bernard Pass is the way. The only way to Italy. You climb for days. Higher. Always higher. The air grows thin. Cold even in summer. Snow lies in shadows year-round. You sleep at the hospice on the pass run by monks who save travelers. Who find the lost. Who bury the dead who cannot be carried down. The dogs. Saint Bernard dogs. Help the monks find lost travelers in snow. In storms. Large dogs. Strong. With kegs of wine around their necks for warmth for the rescued. The monks are saints in their own right, saving lives at the roof of Europe. You cross the pass. Descend into Italy. The change is immediate. Dramatic. Warmer. Sunnier. Different. The architecture changes. The language changes. Latin-based but different from French. You are in another world. The Mediterranean world. You walk through Lombardy. Through Po Valley. Through Tuscany. Each region different. Each with its own cities. Its own character. Milan with its cathedral just beginning to be built. Pavia where kings were crowned in the Iron Crown. You climb the Apennines. The spine of Italy. Not as high as the Alps but still mountains. Still challenging. But beautiful. Wild. Remote. Wolves here. Bandits sometimes. You walk in groups for safety. For company. For courage. And then finally the mountains end. The path descends into Lazio. The Roman Campagna. The countryside around Rome. You see it in the distance. Not the dome of St. Peter's. Not yet built in your time. But the city. The walls. The ancient glory. You enter Rome through ancient gates. Roman gates 1,000 years old. More. The walls still stand protecting the city that once ruled the world. Rome is overwhelming. Ancient everywhere. Ruins. Temples. arches, amphitheaters, the Colosseum where Christians were martyred, fed to lions, killed for faith, now sacred ground. But you are not here for ruins. You are here for the Basilica, for St. Peter's, for the tomb of the Apostle, the rock on which Christ built his church. You walk across the Tiber through the Borgo, the neighborhood around the Vatican, crowded with pilgrims, with priests, with merchants selling badges, souvenirs, relics real and fake. You reach the Basilica, old now, by the time you read this replaced by the new Renaissance Basilica, but in your time still Constantine's church, ancient, venerable, sacred. You enter the nave, long high, columns from ancient temples repurposed for Christian worship, frescoes cover the walls, saints, apostles, martyrs all looking down on you. You walk to the confession, the crypt under the altar where Peter was buried, where his bones still rest, or so the church claims. You kneel, pray at the tomb of the first pope, the first bishop of Rome. The pilgrimage to Rome is complete. But Rome offers more. More churches, more relics, more saints. St. Paul's outside the walls where Paul is buried, the Lateran, the Pope's Cathedral, Santa Maria Maggiore, and dozens more. You stay in Rome for days, 4 weeks, visiting, praying, seeking indulgences, forgiveness, grace. Rome is the heart of Christendom. To be here is to be at the center of the faith, of the world, of everything. Let that centrality stay with you as you drift into sleep. The long walk from England to Italy, the crossing of mountains, the arrival at the eternal city where Peter and Paul still call pilgrims to come, to see, to believe. Rest now in Rome, in the Basilica, in the presence of apostles, of martyrs, of 2,000 years of faith. Story 4: The Pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Europe to the Holy Land, the ultimate journey. You are dreaming the ultimate dream of every medieval Christian. To go to Jerusalem, to the Holy Land, to walk where Christ walked, to see where he died, where he rose, to touch the very ground made holy by God incarnate. This is not a simple pilgrimage. This is an expedition. Dangerous, expensive, long. Many who attempt it never return. Die on the way from illness, from shipwreck, from bandits, from war. But still they go because the reward is worth any risk. You begin in Venice or Genoa, the port cities of Italy where ships depart for the East, for the Levant, for the Holy Land. You book passage on a galley, a sailing ship with oars for when the wind fails. The cost is high. Months of wages for a craftsman, years for a peasant. But you have saved, have sold everything to go. This is your life's purpose, your soul's salvation. You board the ship crowded with pilgrims, merchants, knights, all going east for different reasons but all going. You find a space below deck, dark, cramped, smelling of bilge, of sweat, of humanity pressed together. The ship departs. The sail unfurls. Venice recedes. You are on the sea. The Mediterranean. Mare Nostrum. Our sea as the Romans called it. Still dangerous. Still unpredictable. Still claiming lives. The journey is long. Weeks if weather is good. Months if not. You stop at islands. Crete. Cyprus. Rhodes. Wherever the ship needs fresh water, fresh food, repairs. You stretch your legs on solid ground before returning to the ship. To the endless rocking. The endless horizon. And then finally land. The coast of the Holy Land. You see it rising from the sea. Brown hills. White cities. Palm trees. Different from Europe. Exotic. Biblical. This is the land of the Bible made real. Made touchable. You land at Jaffa or Acre depending on who controls what. The Crusades have made this land a battlefield. Sometimes Christians control it. Sometimes Muslims. Always it is contested. Fought over. Sacred to both. But there is a truce now. A peace that allows pilgrims to come. To visit the holy sites. Paying taxes to Muslim rulers but coming nonetheless. Faith transcends politics sometimes. You travel by donkey or on foot from the coast to Jerusalem. Inland. Uphill. Through countryside that looks like the Bible describes. Olive groves. Vineyards. Shepherds with flocks. Everything familiar from stories. From sermons. Now real. You see Jerusalem from a distance. The walls. The gates. The dome. The dome of the rock. Gold. Shining on the Temple Mount. Built by Muslims over the ruins of the Jewish temple. Sacred to three faiths all at once. You enter through the gates into the city. Narrow streets. Crowded markets. Different peoples. Different languages. Christians. Muslims. Jews. All living together uneasily but together in this holy city. You walk the Via Dolorosa. The way of sorrows. The path Jesus walked carrying his cross to Golgotha. To Calvary. To death. You stop at each station. Each place where tradition says something happened. You kneel. You pray. You weep. This is why you came. You reach the Church of the Holy Sepulchre built over the site of Christ's tomb. Of the resurrection. The holiest place in Christendom. The center of the Christian world. The church is strange. Not one building but many added over centuries by different groups, each claiming a piece. Greek Orthodox, Armenian, Catholic, Coptic, all sharing uneasily this holy space. You enter the rotunda at the center. A small chapel. The edicule. Inside is the tomb. The actual rock-cut tomb where Jesus was laid after the crucifixion, where he rose on the third day. You wait in line for hours. Hundreds of pilgrims all wanting to enter, to see, to touch the holiest place. You wait patient. What is time compared to eternity? Finally your turn. You enter the tiny chapel. Barely room to kneel. The marble slab covers the rock. The actual tomb. You touch it. Kiss it. Press your forehead against it. And pray everything you came to pray. Everything you hoped for. Everything you believe. And then too soon you must leave. Others are waiting. You exit back into the rotunda. Into the light. Changed somehow. Having touched the place where God died and rose. Having completed the ultimate pilgrimage. You visit other sites. The Mount of Olives where Jesus ascended. Bethlehem where he was born. The Jordan River where he was baptized. Each one sacred. Each one part of the story made real. But nothing equals the tomb. The sepulchre. The resurrection site. This is why you came. This is what you will remember. This is what will sustain you for the rest of your life. The journey home is long. Dangerous. Many die on the return never seeing home again. But they died having seen Jerusalem. Having touched the tomb. Having walked where Christ walked. Is that not worth everything? Let that worth stay with you as you drift into sleep. The ultimate journey. The ultimate destination. The ultimate hope made real in stone. In place. In the Holy Land. Rest now in Jerusalem. In the tomb. In the place where death was defeated. Where life triumphed. Where everything changed. Story 5. Pilgrimage to Aachen. Germany, Charlemagne's relics. You are in the Rhineland. In Germany. Approaching Aachen. Once the capital of Charlemagne's empire. Now a pilgrimage site visited every 7 years when the relics are shown to the public. To pilgrims who come by thousands to see. To venerate. To touch. It is a special year. A pilgrimage year. You have timed your journey for this because the relics are only shown now. Once every 7 years. You cannot miss it. Cannot wait another 7 years. You might be dead by then. You arrive with thousands. Tens of thousands. All converging on Aachen from every direction. From all over the empire. All over Europe. All coming for the relics. The city cannot contain them all. Pilgrims camp outside the walls. In fields. In forests. Crowded together. Waiting for the day when the relics are shown. Finally the day arrives. The cathedral opens. The relics are brought out to the balcony above the entrance where all can see. The bishop himself holds them high, displays them to the crowd below. The relics of Charlemagne. The swaddling clothes of Christ. The cloth the Virgin Mary wore when Christ was born. The loincloth Christ wore on the cross. The cloth in which John the Baptist was wrapped when beheaded. Whether these are real or not, no one questions. The Church says they are. That is enough. Faith does not require proof. Requires only belief. You push forward in the crowd trying to see. To get closer. To touch if possible. The crush is terrible. People faint. Are trampled. Some die. But still the crowd pushes forward, desperate for blessing. For grace. For the touch of the holy. You cannot get close. Too many people. But you can see from a distance. The bishop holding high the relics. The cloth glowing in sunlight. Or is that just your imagination? Your faith making what you see more than it is? But it doesn't matter. You were here. You saw. You witnessed the relics of Charlemagne. The greatest emperor since Rome. The father of Europe. The defender of the faith. His relics. His blessings are now yours. You enter the cathedral later when the crowds have thinned. When you can move without being crushed. The octagonal chapel that Charlemagne built still stands at the center. Byzantine style. Different from Gothic. From Romanesque. Older. More ancient. You see the throne where Charlemagne sat. Simple stone. Not gold. Not decorated. Just stone. But sacred because he sat there. The greatest king. The holy emperor who united Europe under the cross. You pray before the throne. Ask Charlemagne to intercede for you with God. Ask for his strength. His faith. His vision. You are small. Insignificant. But here in his cathedral you are connected to greatness. To history. To something larger than yourself. The pilgrimage to Aachen is complete. You have seen the relics. Prayed at the throne. Participated in something that happens only every 7 years. You will remember this forever. Will tell your children. Your grandchildren. You were there. You saw. You believed. Let that belief stay with you as you drift into sleep. The relics of the empire. The throne of the emperor. The faith that built cathedrals and united nations. All present. All powerful. All blessing you. Rest now in Aachen. In Charlemagne's city. In the presence of greatness. Of history made sacred. Story 6, Pilgrimage to Walsingham. England, England's Nazareth. You are in England again. But a different part. You are walking to Walsingham. A small village in Norfolk. East England. Remote. Rural. Quiet. But holy. Very holy. This is England's Nazareth. A replica of the Holy House in Nazareth where the angel appeared to Mary. Where the Annunciation happened. Where everything began. The story goes that a noblewoman Richeldes had a vision in 1061. The Virgin Mary appeared. Showed her the house in Nazareth. Told her to build a replica here in England so English people could experience the Holy Land without the dangerous journey to Jerusalem. Richeldes obeyed. Built the house exactly as shown in the vision. And immediately miracles began. The blind saw. The lame walked. The sick were healed. Walsingham became famous across England. Across Europe. Kings came. Queens came. Paupers came. All seeking Mary's blessing. You walk from London or from wherever you started. North through English countryside. Green. Gentle. Peaceful. This is not a difficult walk. Not like the Alps or the Pyrenees. Just English fields. English villages. English hospitality. You stop at the Slipper Chapel a mile before Walsingham. Here tradition says you remove your shoes. Walk the last mile barefoot in humility. In penance. In devotion to Mary who walked barefoot much of her life. You remove your shoes. Your feet touch the earth. The cold earth of England. You walk slowly. Carefully. The road is rough. Stone. Dirt. But you continue one step at a time toward the shrine. You enter Walsingham. A small village. Medieval buildings. A few streets. A church. And the shrine. The Holy House at the center. Pilgrims everywhere from across England. From across Europe. All coming to Mary. To England's Nazareth. You approach the shrine. The Holy House. Small. Wooden. Humble. Not grand. Not impressive. Just a simple house as the original in Nazareth would have been. Simple. Poor. Ordinary. But holy because of what happened there. You enter. Kneel inside. The space is tiny. Barely room for a few pilgrims at once. But you are there. In England's Nazareth. In the place where the Annunciation is remembered. Where Mary said yes to God. Where everything changed. You pray to Mary. The Mother of God. The Queen of Heaven. Ask for her intercession. Her help. Her love. Mary is gentler than God. More approachable. More understanding of human weakness. You tell her your troubles. Your sins. Your hopes. She listens. Always listens. The shrine is simple but covered in offerings. Candles by thousands. Silver vessels. Crutches left by those healed. Walking sticks no longer needed. Tokens of gratitude. Of faith. Of miracles given. You leave an offering too. Whatever you can afford. A candle. A coin. A prayer written on paper. Whatever you have to give is enough. Mary accepts all, judges none, loves everyone. You attend Mass in the Priory Church. The Augustinian canons run the shrine. Care for pilgrims. Sing the offices. Maintain the holy house. They have done so for centuries. But this will not last. In just a few decades Henry VIII will break with Rome, dissolve the monasteries, destroy the shrines. Walsingham will be destroyed. The holy house burned. The statue of Mary taken to London. Burned publicly as a false idol. The shrine will be gone for 400 years until the 20th century when it is rebuilt, restored, and pilgrims come again. But you do not know this. Cannot know this. For you Walsingham is eternal. Will always be here. Always welcome pilgrims. You stay in Walsingham for days. Praying, attending services, drinking the holy water from the well that never runs dry, that heals all who drink with faith. And then eventually you must leave. Return to your life, your home, your work, but changed, blessed, having been to England's Nazareth, having knelt in the holy house, having experienced what millions of pilgrims experienced before you and millions will experience after. Or so you think. You hope. You pray. Not knowing that destruction is coming. That reform is coming. That everything will change. But for now, for this moment, Walsingham is eternal, is holy, is Mary's own home in England. Let that hope stay with you as you drift into sleep. The holy house, the barefoot mile, the shrine of Mary in England's green pleasant land. Rest now in Walsingham, in England's Nazareth, in the presence of the Mother who never refuses anyone who comes in faith, in hope, in love. And so our walking is done. 6 pilgrimages, 6 sacred paths across medieval Europe, each one different, each one the same, all leading towards something sacred. Something beyond the ordinary world. We walk to Canterbury where Thomas Becket died for principle, for the Church, for God, where miracles drew pilgrims by thousands seeking healing, seeking grace. We walk the Camino to Santiago across the Pyrenees, across Spain to the tomb of St. James, the apostle who called pilgrims from across Europe to walk his way, to find on the path what they could not find at home. We walked the Via Francigena over the Alps into Italy, to Rome, the eternal city where Peter and Paul still call pilgrims to the heart of Christendom, to the center of the faith. We sailed to Jerusalem, the ultimate journey, the ultimate destination, where Christ walked, where he died, where he rose, where everything we believe happened, made real, made touchable. We witnessed the relics at Aachen, Charlemagne city, where every 7 years the holy cloths are shown, where pilgrims gather by thousands to see, to believe, to be blessed, And we walked barefoot to Walsingham, England's Nazareth, where Mary is present, where miracles happen, where the Mother of God listens to all who come. 6 pilgrimages, but really one pilgrimage. The human journey toward something greater than ourselves. The walking toward hope, toward meaning, toward God by whatever name we call that which we seek. Medieval people walked these paths for centuries. Millions of them across generations, across lifetimes. Some never returned, died on the way. But they died walking towards something they believed was worth everything. What made them go? What drove them to leave safety, home, family, to walk for weeks, 4 months through danger, through hardship, through uncertainty, faith perhaps, or hope, or desperation, or curiosity, or penance, or gratitude, or simply the need to move, to change, to be different from what they were. Pilgrimage is transformation through walking, through effort. Through the very act of going towards something we become different. The journey changes us. The destination confirms the change. These paths still exist. Still are walked today by millions. The Camino especially is full of walkers. Not all religious now. Some just seeking something they cannot name, but seeking nonetheless. The paths endure because the need endures. The human need to walk towards something, to move with purpose, to arrive changed. This need is ancient, is eternal, is part of what makes us human. Tonight you walked in imagination, in story, in the footsteps of millions who walked before. You felt what they felt, saw what they saw, arrived where they arrived. Let that arrival stay with you as you drift into deepest sleep. You have walked far tonight through countries, through centuries, through the medieval world of faith and pilgrimage. Rest now, pilgrim, walker, seeker. The paths are walked. The shrines are reached. The saints are encountered. The faith is proven through the simple act of walking towards something sacred. All is journey. All is walking. All is arrival eventually. Sleep well, medieval pilgrim, modern seeker, eternal human walking toward hope, toward meaning, toward whatever calls you forward. The paths are eternal. The shrines are waiting. The journey continues for all who walk with faith, with hope, with open hearts. Good night under medieval skies, on ancient paths, in the company of millions who walked before and millions who will walk after. The pilgrimage is complete. The walking is done. The destination is reached. Sleep. The paths lead you home to rest, to peace, to exactly where you need to be.